Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to our second day in our ABGA show, where once again we're showing in our full blood show division. This is class 20E. Those from 12 and 2 of 17 to 12 and 10 of 17. Once again, if we have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, we are missing 3 individuals here in this class 20E. We need Janet Mordzewski from Ashton, Nebraska on entry number 1465. We need Emma Rethens from Patterson, California on entry 1625. And also we need Neil and Melissa Love out of Lancaster, California on entry 2152. Once again, please check. Neil and Melissa Love, entry 2152 from Lancaster, California. Emma Rethens from Patterson, California, entry 1625. And Janet Mordzewski from Ashton, Nebraska, entry 1465. We need those in the arena at this time.
Larry Duncan, if you're in the barn, you're needed in the office immediately.
Once again, if I could have our exhibitor's attention back in the barn, it's kind of a special announcement regarding that 5-year-old full-blood doe class. As you may remember, it's kind of an addition here each year. We have a 5-year or older full-blood doe class. If you would like to show, if you brought a doe for that class, you'll need to sign up for that in the office. I'd like to have that done as soon as possible, no later than lunch. So once again, if you bought a 5-year or older full-blood doe wanting to show here in that class, then you need to sign up, make sure that entry is done in the office before noon. Once again, while our judges are putting our exhibitors through the paces here, I'd like to remind you this morning that if you have friends, family, breeders back home that would like to watch what's going on at the show this year, we are televising this live via the internet. So there's two places you can go. You can go to Livestock Buyer. They're broadcasting there. The link is on their Facebook page. So once again, just type in Livestock Buyer, go to their Facebook page, and you can get it from there. Also, you can go to the American Boer Goat Association and go to their website and then go to the YouTube page. And there you can go ahead and pick it up as well. So there are two separate areas. It's broadcasting live. So a lot of times you may have somebody, you've got kids showing out in the arena today. Grandma and Grandpa might want to look. I know we have several breeders around the country, lots of breeders around the country that are watching this show as well. We were getting several hits once again yesterday, but once again, if you'd like to look at this program live, look at the show live, go to Livestock Buyer. It's on their Facebook page and on the ABGA website on the YouTube page. The exhibitors on the outside of the arena may be excused at time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Thank these exhibitors for their participation today. Once again, some really, really good goats are leaving this ring. Tough competition, but we appreciate everyone being here at our National 2018 ABGA show. Once again, if we have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, this will be your first call for that Class 20F. Once again, the birthdays from 9 and 4 of 17 to 11 and 30 of 17. First call, Class 20F. While our judges kind of putting our final group together here, just like to remind you that we have a very, very special event today. Today is the 2018 ABGA Old Timer Showmanship Contest, one of our favorites around here. This happens at lunch today. I know you're all familiar with it, but just in case you aren't, basically you can sign anyone up to bring a goat into the ring at noon and go through the showmanship. Once again, it's called our Old Timer Showmanship. You can sign anybody up. It costs $5 to enter. You can enter yourself or enter someone else. If you get on that list, you can pay $10 and you can get off the list. So once again, it's a great way for us to raise money for the JABGA. If you'd like to sign up for that, the sign-up sheet is in the office. Or if you'd like to sign someone up, the sheet, once again, is in the office. I think we have more people that sign someone else up than sign themselves up. So we have a lot of fun with it. It happens over lunch. So once again, if you'd like to sign someone up for the Old Timer Showmanship Contest, please go to the office and do that sign up. And once again, that will happen today at noon. Once again, I have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. This will be your final call for that Class 20F. Again, from 9 and 4 of 17 to 11 and 30 of 17. Final call, Class 20F. Also, I'd like to remind our exhibitors out in the barn that today is our Old Timer Showmanship Contest. Great event. I know a lot of you are familiar with it. Yesterday we had the sign-up sheet kind of going through the barns and here through the bleachers with the crowd. But the sign-up sheet for the Old Timers Showmanship Contest is in the office. So if you'd like to enter someone, it costs $5 to enter them. You go by and check that list. If you'd like to get off the list, it will cost you $10. But once again, the Old Timer Contest will start today at noon. Once again, sign up is in the office and it'll cost you $5. All of our money goes back to the JABGA. Looks like we're about ready to announce this class. Once again, you may be joining us for the first time, and also for our people that may be watching us online, just like to introduce our judges to you at this time. Once again, we're privileged to have great guys with us. First of all, we have a young man here who manages cow herd for Griswold Cattle Company. He judged the National in 2013 and juniors here in 14. Hails from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Give a warm welcome to Mr. Josh Taylor. Josh, raise your hat so we can see you. There you go. One of our newest here, the judging partnership here. He raises goats and cattle and works for Circle A Cattle Company. Hails from Ashland, Missouri. Give a warm welcome to Mr. Nick Hammett. And finally, we have a young man here who raises beef cattle and goats. He has been judging since 2007. He's one of our superintendents here a couple of years ago from Winder, Georgia. Welcome, Mr. Rusty Lee.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good way to start the morning back doing this, I think, class 5 of the junior full-blood does. And I guess there's one word that kind of comes to mind when you look at these top 10, and that's wow. Because, man, we are so deep in quality, not only what's standing in the ring. I mean, we released a lot of really good goats in that bigger class today, and we tried to explain to a few folks maybe why we released them. We saw a few things that we would like to change. And we felt like these 10 were something we could really work with. And, man, we've got just a super, super deep quality class. And I was talking to Josh, and I said, all the way down to 10th place, I would take any of these goats home. All of them are that high quality animals. There are just some little differences here and there about them. We're going to start the class with a doe that we feel like is the most complete doe out here. This young man up here has got a beautiful doe. She's got enough width from front to back. I think she's actually a little wider between the hocks than she is in the chest floor. And if we had to get super critical, we maybe just a half-inch wider in the chest floor. But other than that, that doe is so super to look at on profile. Just I love the breed character, head and neck. I love the way she ties in through her shoulders. Beautiful top line to her. She's got good depth of body through the heart flank. She carries that depth really well through the rear flank. She's good on her feet and legs. Just a huge rump. I mean, she's got so much muscle coming down that rear leg. And I know it said, from even when I was a superintendent here a couple years ago, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's hair. Yes, we know some of these goats have got more hair than others, but excuse my language, there's a hell of a lot of product underneath some of these goats too that we have felt and we found it, and that's why they're standing out here in the ring. So these are some dang good goats to win this class, regardless of hair or not. That's just a very appealing looking doe with just a beautiful look to her, lots of depth of body, lots of product, lots of muscle. We come into her with a doe behind her that may not have quite the depth of body, but this is a doe that just kept sneaking up and sneaking up and sneaking up because she's a little plainer made. She doesn't have quite the depth in the rear flank that the doe ahead of her did, but she's good on feet and legs. She's got plenty of width from front to back. She tracked out beautifully for us. I love the extension, and I love the breed character in that head and horn set. I like the way she's extended and the way she ties in through the shoulders. Really love the length of body on this doe. Again, if we had to be super critical, give her just a little bit more depth, more of a wedge looking. We're not real critical at this age because we don't expect it at this age. But compared to the doe that won the class, that's about the only thing we'd change. Lots of natural muscle on that doe right there. Just a really nice, heavy muscled, good looking female there. The red doe that follows her up in 3rd place is a doe that's really similar, really nice looking doe is what we've used above her. This is a doe that we've turned her loose a couple times because when you look at this doe, again, just like we talked about earlier, just a cookie cutter stamped breed character head and neck on her. I love the extension. This doe just sometimes, like right now, her top line looks pretty good. Sometimes maybe it was the young man showing her would be a little too far extended and her top line would drop just a little bit. We got her out on the move and that top line pops up and she looks awesome. Looks gorgeous. She's got plenty of width from front to back. She's good on feet and legs. If we had to be critical anywhere, it would make that top line pop up just a little bit harder, a little bit more solid, but a nice made female. The next doe here's a doe that's a little more rugged looking. Got a little, just a touch more extra in the chest floor and the brisket area. Heavy muscle doe. This is another doe that sometimes when she would set up, she wants to drop behind the shoulders just a touch, but she's probably one of the heavier volume females out here as far as amount of just overall product. We just didn't feel like the top line was as strong as we would like to see it most of the time when we were looking at her, but a really nice made doe. The next doe here is another doe like we talked about that's got one of those beautiful breed character front ends. That front third on her is beautiful. Not necessarily the longest body. You can maybe extend her out and length the body just a touch. And by all means, we wouldn't say she's bad in her pastern. She's just a touch softer than what the does above her are. If we can make her upright a little bit further on her rear pasterns, I think she's got a chance to move up even further. This next doe is a doe that just a little plainer looking, a little shorter bodied, a little more compact than what we've had up towards the front of the class. But you really got to appreciate that big old deep wedge she's got to her. She's got a lot of muscle and just overall product, just in a little tighter, smaller type package. And we're kind of going to run into that as we come down the line on several of these does. Several of the ones up on the front end were a little more extended, a little more stretched out. This polka dot doe is another doe that's really attractive on the profile. She was attractive on the move. We'd like to just maybe extend her out, blow her out a little bit further in length of body. She kind of pulls everything together in kind of a tight package. Kind of the next couple does here are kind of the same way. This next doe here is a doe that we kind of overlooked her when she came in, but we studied her right here on the move when we got her out in the class. Another kind of deep body, real muscular type doe. We like to maybe just extend her out a little bit more and stretch her out a little bit better. This next doe here is a doe that didn't have absolutely the best breed character head as some of the ones above her, but when you get your hands on this doe, what you see is what you get. She's a heavy muscle kind of female. Wasn't as deep bodied through the front rear heart, or through the heart groove, through the rear flank as what some of the does were above her. But a heavy muscle doe, a real good tracking doe also. Kind of the same we talked about on this doe here in the back. Another doe. I mean, even in 10th place, we've got a doe that could probably win grand championships at most state fairs across the country. Just a heavy muscle doe. Just didn't put everything together quite as well and blend quite as well for us as what some of the ones on the front end of the class did. But overall, an excellent class of females. Congratulations.
Once again, congratulations to all our winners. In first place, winner was Austin Chamness from Charlestown, Indiana, on 2MBG 2M Boer Goat Bourbon Bonnie. In second place was Lorena Kenny Megan Sammy Elwood out of Lipan, Texas, on KMSL Smokin' Power. In third place was Rick and Misty Allen out of Fairmont, Illinois, on RMA2 Best Kept Secret. In fourth place was Terry and Sue Taylor from Lubbock, Texas, on TST1 Wendy Acres All Fashion Lady. In fifth place was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, on EVR1 TST1 Smokin' Party. In sixth place was Gilson, Vicky, Tristan, and Zane. That's Hoker, and then dash IMG. We'll get all of our numbers correctly here. It's a VTZ Inks Lily Miss Fancy Pants. We're sorry some of our additional information is crossed out on us here, so we'll do the best we can. Okay, in seventh place was Chad and Nancy Steinke from Wapakoneta, Ohio, on LK7 Kiss My Class. In eighth place was Belton, Billy, and Mark Ashburn from King, North Carolina, on B2 GFB Square Goat Farm, Dixie C. In ninth place was Paige Pence from New Carlisle, Ohio, on AFB2 Hells Bells. And in 10th place was Boston Stapleton from Somerville, Ohio, on SFG2 Stapleton Farms Cheese EXT. Just to let you know that our ribbon sponsor in that class, in our class, once again, back to Class E, that was Lowe's Pellets and Grain. Also a little catching up from yesterday. The Class D ribbon sponsor was C&J Show Boer Goats. Your Class C, and I think we missed this yesterday as well, Class C was Palmetto Moon Boer Goats and Mini Zebu Cattle. And also just want to go back and catch our Class Buckle winner was provided in that Class B, and that was provided by Seidel Incorporated and Kyle Christensen. Once again, we'll try to make sure and do all the ribbon sponsors. We have a full slate. It's one of the first times in the history of the ABGA
that we've had sponsors for all of our ribbons and buckles that we provide here in the banners. So once again, we appreciate all the hard work that those individuals did on getting all of our sponsors together. And once again, we appreciate all the sponsors for their financial help here at our 2018 ABGA. Ladies and gentlemen, now in the arena, this is our Class 20F, date of birth from 9/4/17 to 11/30/17, should be 41 in the class.
Once again, if we could have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, we're missing a couple of individuals here in this Class F. We're missing Jason Miller from Bloomfield, Iowa on entry 1315. Jason Miller from Bloomfield, Iowa on entry 1315. And we need Jeff Pickrell from Fredericktown, Ohio on entry 1612. Jeff Pickrell from Fredericktown, Ohio on entry 1612. We need those does in the arena at this time.
Also, once again, while our judges are making decisions, I'd like to remind you that if you have, and we'll make this announcement back in the barn again, if you are interested and have brought one of your older does, that 5-year and older full-blood doe, we will be having that class again today. If you want to show in that 5-year and older full-blood doe, you need to sign up. You can do that in the office, and we need to have that done before noon. Once again, if you're going to show in that 5-year and older class, you need to sign up in the office before noon.
Once again, I would have all of our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. Just like to remind you once again that if you have brought a doe that you want to show in that full-blood doe show that is 5 years old and older, if you want to show, you need to sign up in the office before noon. Once again, if you brought one of those older does, 5 years and older for that class, if you want to show, you need to sign up in the office and do that before lunch.
Exhibitors on the outside of the ring may be excused this time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and thank these exhibitors. Appreciate everyone's attendance here at our 2018 show. Once again, just like to remind everyone, if you haven't had a chance to look at our silent auction items, they're back on the wall over here on the east end of the show area. Once again, we have a lot of really neat items. You need to get back there and take a look. Been looking at them several times throughout. There's just kind of a quick deal. We have like $1 collection, Freely Daycare with B&D Genetics. We have also a photo package that's Demi Lynn Photography. We have a Scentsy basket from Good Ones, have a Clipper bag products and a gift certificate from Outback Labs, have a 6-slot handmade buckle case by Freddie Davis Construction. We have some goat-shaped cookies. That's Blue Gainey Ranch. I know those are always good. Also have Buck Scrub. That's from BJ Carbino. Also have a Peacock Pen Set and Pillows. That's from Love 'em Ranch. We have several different straws that have been provided by breeders. We have like 3 straws of ABGA Smoking Hot Line Dry, William Carbino. We have 5 straws of Choice of Circle R Boer Goats, Carol Rochester. We'll mention a few of those as we go throughout the day. We have a set of Andis Clippers back there from Childers Show Goats. Have a Texas Barbecue Basket. That's from Dugat Livestock. Have a Show Pig Credit. That's Kimmel Show Pigs. Have a barbed wire wreath, pretty cool looking back there from Hyde Farm. So once again, lots of really good, neat items, and all the money we raise for that goes back to the JABGA. You'll have an up till tonight at the banquet. We'll bring all those back over to the banquet over in the swine barn, and we'll announce who the winners were at that time. But once again, great project things over there. Also like to thank all of our sponsors and our corporate sponsors and our breeders that have donated items in to our silent auction. Also was asked to remind everyone once again about our 5-year, that is a good announcement. We need to do that as well. Once again, if you're wanting to enter that 5-year and older full-blood doe class, you need to be signing up those for the office. Also like to remind you that they said we need some more people in the office signing up for that old-timer showmanship contest. Once again, that goes today at noon. Costs you $5 to enter. You can enter anyone you like. Go to the office, sign them up, bring your $5. It takes $10 to get off the list. We also will be conducting that today at lunch. We have a volunteer. He does a lot of really good things and volunteers time for kids. Pitt Kimmer with Kimmer Auctions will be doing that this afternoon or this day at noon. Pitt, raise your hand back there. Pitt Kimmer, let's give him a round of applause. He donates a lot of time and effort here to our JBJ. We appreciate him as he's going to be announcing that showmanship contest. But once again, go to the office, put your $5 in, and sign somebody up for that old-timer showmanship contest today at lunch.
Once again, if I can have all our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, this will be your first call for that final class here in our Yearling division, that class 20G. Birthdays from 6 and 3 of 17 to 9 and 3 of 17. Once again, this will be your first call for class 20G. Once again, I would have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. This will be your final call for that class 20G. Once again, birthdays from 6 and 3 of 17 to 9 and 3 of 17. Final call, class 20G.
Been a really big class of some really good goats, especially the very top end of this class. I mean, we were talking about, just how good these animals are and how hard it is to separate them because of the quality of them. But I think the doe that wins the class does so pretty handily. When you combine the length of body, the width of loin in this girl with the maternal profile that she has, the depth of rib, how she's hooked in high in that neck shoulder junction, the length of body, the width of body. She's just a pretty complete individual that's going to be really hard to get around in this class. And that's not to take a lot away from the doe that's in second. She is ultra stout. She's super high volume, tons of muscle in her, particularly coming right out of that loin, right out of that shoulder, just a big turn to that loin edge. Just didn't quite have the length of body, the maternal design that the doe that wins the class does, but a doe that's super stout, super heavy muscled, exceptionally high quality doe there. The doe we wind up with in third is obviously a little lighter doe than the does that are up ahead of her, but a doe that worked her way up there just because of her design. Super sleek in her design, really hard to the touch, but combines that with a nice feminine front end, a smooth shoulder, really wide and square on all fours, giving up a little bit of weight, maybe a little bit of age, but just a superbly designed doe that worked her way from far down the class all the way up to third. The doe we wind up with in fourth, again, a doe that maybe isn't as super high caliber as the three does that are above her, but a really good quality doe. Length of body's there, a lot of depth of rib through the center portion of her rib. Doesn't track out quite as wide at the hocks as you'd like to see her, but you get your hands on her, there's a lot of width to that loin. She just doesn't carry all that width down to the ground like the two or three does that were up above her do, but a very nice doe with a long, elegant front end. Doe coming out next here in fifth, a doe you appreciate for her stoutness, for her muscle, big, strong shoulder in her. Would just like to clean her up through that chest floor a little bit, tighten her up and lengthen her up through that neck area. She wants to break behind the shoulders at times. She wants to jam that neck and shoulder back into herself at times on the stand. Looks a little bit better on the move, but a doe with a lot of power and a lot of substance to her. The big Kate doe that we wind up with next in six, you sure got to appreciate her length of body. She's ultra long, super level, just gets a little tighter in that rib shape. Would like to see more curvature to that rib, a little more power to the way she carries that rib shape, especially down in the lower 1/3 of her body. When you get around behind her, she doesn't have that just super expressive high dimension muscle shape to the center and lower portions of her leg, but you really love the length of body, the femininity, the extension, and the levelness that doe has. Doe we got coming out next in seventh, again, a lot like the doe that was back in fifth, a doe with a ton of power, gets a little rounder in that breastplate, a little rounder in her shoulder. Love the way she's hooked up high in that neck shoulder junction. Love the head shape to this doe. Just really need to lengthen her out for her to play with some of the does that are up above her today. She gets a little shorter in her spine from a profile, but a doe with a lot of power that you can sure appreciate the muscle and the thickness. Doe coming out next, again, another doe that needs just to be lengthened up a little bit. She's very attractive. She's very sound. There's just not quite enough to her. She needs to be longer. She needs to be more powerful in her muscle shape to really play with the other girls that are up there today. The red tag doe coming out next, just need to clean her up, make her a little more eye appealing. She has a lot of product, a lot of length, a lot of rib shape, a lot of muscle. Need to straighten that top line and just extend out that front end, smooth out that shoulder and chest floor. The little red doe made it to the top 10 just because she is sound structured. She's wide and square. She's very attractive. Just not quite enough to her today to play with the bigger, older girls that are out here today. Let's give them a hand for bringing out a class of really nice does.
All right, the results here in our Class 20F. In first place was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma on PFW Show Me Boar's Oh Happy Day. In second place was Piper Fisher from Hominy, Oklahoma on RBMG Sweet Affection. In third place was Bob Silkey out of Cleo Springs, Oklahoma on AABG MBD Special Delivery. In fourth place, Jason Miller from Bloomfield, Iowa on Jimmy She's Living the Life. In fifth place was Jason and Catherine Klug out of North Zolch, Texas on Sheep Shepherd Creek Victory. In sixth place was Gregory and Brittany Meese from Sibley, Illinois. Could be Sibley, Illinois on MBG 14, be Serene's Eve. In seventh place, once again, was Jason and/or Catherine Klug from North Gulch, Texas, this time on Sheep Shepherd Creek and rows of, and we don't have that last word. I apologize for that. In eighth place was Elijah Merrill from Lakeville, Indiana on NF3 Newton Farms I'm So Jazzy G. In ninth place was Casey Arnold from Cisco, Texas on ROR1 Poker Face. And in 10th place was Nicole Falk from Gainesville, Florida on JLT1 Creekwoods Borers This Girl. Also like to let you know that first place ribbon and all the other things, banners that go with that, was sponsored by Radiant Reds. That's Kenny and Megan Elwood. Ladies and gentlemen, now coming in the arena is our final class in our junior division. This is Class 20. Once again, birthdays from 6 and 3 of 17 to 9 and 3 of 17. Should be 43 in the class.
If I could have your attention in the barn, we are missing one entry in this Class 20G full-blood doe kids. Bailey Brumfield, entry number 1900. Bailey Brumfield, entry number 1900. You're needed in this Class 20G now.
The exhibitors on the outside of the arena may be excused at time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and thank our exhibitors for their participation today. Once again, huge class, a lot of good does out there. As one of our judges made the comment earlier, a lot of these does go back and they'll be winning state fairs here before too long. So once again, really good quality all the way around. We appreciate our exhibitors bringing such good quality here to our 2018 show.
Once again, if I could have our exhibitors' attention back in the back, just like to remind you that we're about halfway through here with this Class 20G. Just as a reminder, upon completion of this Class 20G, this will complete all of our junior classes in our full-blood show. Then we'll go directly, as soon as this class is over with, and select that grand champion in the junior division. So just be aware, if you had a first or second in Class 20A, B, C, D, E, or F, we'll be calling you just here in a few minutes as we get ready to show for the grand champion in the junior division of our full-blood show. So once again, this is just kind of a preempt information here, but we'll make that first call here in just a few minutes. But once again, if you had a first or second in any of the junior classes, we'll be calling you here in just a minute as we get ready to show for our grand champion.
Well, we got just a little bit of a break here. I don't often have time to do this because it's hard to catch them all three in the same place at the same time. But once again, I'd like to introduce our superintendents to you. Once again, we have joining us this year, we have an ag ed instructor from Gonzales, Texas. Hails from Yoakum, Texas. Gonzales, where he teaches, is on the board of directors. Would you give a welcome to Mr. Robert Washington? Also, we have an ag ed instructor. He also serves on the board from Nettleton, Mississippi, Mr. Jesse Cornelius. And our newest addition is an ag teacher from Villa, Indiana, doing a great job. This is Jesse Kimmel, once again from Villa, Indiana. Give him a round of applause.
Once again, I would have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. If you had a first or second place in classes 20A, B, C, D, E, or F, you need to be moving toward the holding area at this time. Once again, we'll be wrapping up this class here before too long. But once again, I want to make sure everyone gets that announcement because we've had some of these classes from yesterday. Once again, if you had a first or second place in any of the junior full blood classes, you need to be moving to the holding area at this time as we get ready to show for our grand and reserve grand in our junior division. Also, as kind of a quick announcement, just as soon as we once again, I have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. Just like to make that announcement again. Once again, we are wrapping up this final class here in junior division. This will be your final call. If you had a first or second place in any of the junior classes, A, B, C, D, E, or F, you need to be in the holding area at this time. Also, just wanted to let you know that after we name that grand reserve, we'll go immediately into that first class of yearlings. Once again, that'll be that class 23A. Again, that'll be class 23A, first class of yearlings. We'll make that first call for that class here in just a few minutes.
our judges making decisions, just like to let you know, if you look up here, I have got the old timer showmanship list. Several of you wondering, am I on this list or not? And maybe there's somebody I'd like to put on this list. So we've got one of our ABGA officers. He's going to be walking around the barn here, let you know who's on it, who's not. Very quickly, we have like Jason Klug, Terry Taylor, Nathan, looks like Mazutsky.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Well, that my writing is not that good either. This is Nathan Danke, Ashley Judge, Kellen Hahn, Ashley Judge, Matt Day, several more on this list. So once again, if you'd like to see if your name is on there or add somebody, we're going to be going around. Once again, it costs $5 to get your name on the list, and it costs $10 to get off.
Well, as this group of does made their way into the class, and we're all standing over there in the corner, we all kind of looked at one another and realized that this was the most competitive, and just the number of does that we saw within this class that we really liked was just astounding. And we all kind of agreed this was the best class we've seen thus far. Between yesterday and today, and you just look at the quality all the way through, and that's why we took a little extra time, because I think there's does all the way down the line, and even does that got dismissed that a lot of people could put into their herd, and they would be the elite female of that group of does. And I just think it's just, I mean, a big testament to all these breeders and exhibitors and in terms of the dedication and the work and the effort that they put in to making these goats just so good in the way that they're breeding them, the way they're managing them at home, and the way that they present them out here in the ring is just truly outstanding. I think we've got a trio of does up here at the top end. A lot of discussion amongst the three of us. We all came to an agreement that I think these three are phenomenal. That's a phenomenal trio right there that you can do a lot of things with in this full blood industry. And I think the paint doe, when you look at this one, you look how good she is in her feet and legs, dead level down that top, how correct she ties in that spine to the back of her shoulder blade and at the top of her hip. You get your hands on her. She does not disappoint you whatsoever in terms of the shape and dimension she has down her top. Splays out to a huge and roomy hip when you get around behind her. Opens up extremely wide through that chest floor, sets down nice and square, and then she's fresher in her conditioning. She's just a little easier to look at in that regard. I think this one just really balances up extremely well from end to end and from top to bottom. I just think that's an awful good one to go out and win the class. We really like the doe here in the second spot. I think here's a female here. You study the foot, you study the bone on this doe, and you absolutely love her. You absolutely love the amount of width and sheer dimension that she has. Maybe just not quite as fresh in the way that she comes to us from a conditioning aspect as the doe in front of her. But I think along with that, you look at all the quality that she puts into her body type and kind, and you really have to appreciate just the sheer mass and volume and dimension that she shows us throughout. Maybe not quite as long from the top of her shoulder to the point of her pole as the doe that wins. Maybe not quite as long out of the backside of her hip when we talk about that pin set and tailhead set in relationship to that doe that wins. But I think a pair of females up here at the top end that are just truly outstanding in the way that they are designed from the top side down. I think a doe here in the third spot is kind of a no frills kind of a female. Maybe not quite the natural body shape and dimension and sheer mass and power that you see in those top two does. But from a side view profile, that doe is really, really good in the way that she's pieced together. I think this one is exceptional in her transition segments. You study her out of the back of her shoulder. She really comes to you with a lot of flex to that first and second rib, which affords her a lot of shape up top. And you get your hands on her, she's really deceiving in the way that she comes to you. With the amount of muscle shape that she has down that top side of her body. I think she's maybe one that just gets a little shorter off of both ends compared to the two does in front of her. Not nearly as wide through that chest floor and out of that stifle as the two does above her. But I think on the side view profile, you couldn't ask one to be made any better than this one as she gets out and really works her way up into the trio pretty handily for us. I think a paint doe that comes next is one that just got a ton of shape, a ton of middle, thick-ended doe that you get around behind her. She kind of blows you away in the amount of shape and dimension that she shows us. Just need to lengthen her out, maybe elevate her ever so slightly and clean her up through that lower 1/3 to really rival what you see in front. I think a doe that comes next, here's one from the side. If you just want to view her right here, I think this one can get up there into that first or second spot. She just needs to open up down there in that lower 1/3, crack her open through her chest floor and let it transition and get progressively wider as we work our way back. I think that one can do that as she goes into maybe her yearling phase or the senior phase. Her show career, that one's going to be pretty good on down the road. A trio of does that come next that we just drove, maybe had a little issue with these three does in terms of structure and how they're built and designed. I think the young lady's doe is really nice in the way that she's made through that top side of her body. Need to maybe give her a little more maternal look through that lower 1/3, a little more production-oriented type of a body cavity. That one to get her up any higher. I think the red young man there in the red shirt, I think a doe that could be adjusted structurally, particularly when we get her out on the move. I think we do that to her. I like the body shape and the type of that one as well. Big broody doe that comes next. Like the power, like the volume through that center on this female. Maybe just gets a little uncoordinated in the way that she gets out and travels, particularly off of those rear two. Tighten her up and set her down with a little more ease and comfortability off of those rear two could certainly add to the benefit of that doe as we view her with the rest of the class. A red doe that comes next, maybe just a little plainer in the makeup in relationship to the rest of them, but I love the shape, I love the length, I love the amount of muscling that she shows us down that top. A doe that comes next, the young lady has, like the build, like the look, maybe just gets a little tighter through that flank. We just need to drop her down, see a little more natural rib shape and dimension through that lower 1/3. I think a couple of does that come next, the spot back doe, in particular, just does that didn't have enough muscle shape. When we get right around behind them, they just get a little flatter made and need to see a little more delineation and separation back there. When we talk about them from their pin bone down in through that stifle and how that muscle lays in there, young ladies doe that rounds out the class. Pretty good one in her own right. I think this one could also have the added benefit of a little more muscle shape when we get right around behind her as well. Superb class of females, excellent top end. Let's give all those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Once again, congratulations. In first place was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. On ABGA, beat Catherine the Great. In second place was Austin Shamness from Charlestown, Indiana. On 2MBG, 2M Boer Goats Mellow Kitty. In third place was Aaron Yoakum from Bainbridge, Ohio. On ADVBG, Outlandish Jewel. In fourth place again was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. On 2MBG, 2M Boer Goats Cinnabon. In fifth place again was Austin Shamness from Charlestown, Indiana. This time on 2MBG, 2M Boer Goats Bourbon Bell. In sixth place was Raylan Butler from Bandera, Texas, on MFR1 Easy on the Eyes. In seventh place was BMAC Farms out of Pink Hill, North Carolina, on BMAC BMF 655PQ. In eighth place was Aaron and Denise Crabtree out of Chillicothe, Ohio, on ADVBG Dream Girl. In ninth place was Logan Holland out of Crittenden, Kentucky, on KDCL Radiant and Red. And finally, in 10th place was Mackenzie Pruitt out of Knoxville, Illinois, on PRU She's a Little Runaway.
Once again, I would have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. We're now showing for the grand champion in junior division. This will be your final call for that first class in the yearling division, class 23A, that 12 to 16-month-old division. First, this will be your second call for class 23A.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now showing for the grand champion here in the junior side of our full-blood show. Once again, I'd like to introduce our competitors to you at this time. Coming out of Class 20A, your first place winner was Faith Burke from Mableton, North Dakota, and in second place was Bailey Brumfield from Bainbridge, Ohio. Coming out of Class 20B, your first place winner was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and in second place was Terry and Sue Taylor out of Lubbock, Texas. Coming out of Class 20C, your first place winner was Madison Fenton from Touchy, Washington, and second place was Eden Bassford from Pennville, Indiana. Coming out of Class 20D, your first place winner again was Madison Fenton from Touchy, Washington, and second place B-Mac Barnes from Pink Hill, North Carolina. Your Class 20E winner was Austin Chamness from Charlestown, Indiana, and in second place was Lorena, Kenny, Megan, Sammy Elwood out of Lipan, Texas. Coming out of Class 20F, your first place winner was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and in second place was Piper Fisher from Hominy, Oklahoma. And finally, again, coming out of Class 20G, your first place winner again was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and second place was Austin Chamness from Charlestown, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of really good does out there. Put your hands together to name our grand champion in our Junior Full Blood Division show. Just like to let you know we have some individual sponsors once again as we get ready to name this Grand and Reserve Grand, your full-blood grand champion here in the junior division. The Grand and Reserve Grand are both sponsored by Pitlick Boer Goats out of Jordan, Minnesota. Once again, the Grand and Reserve Grand both are sponsored by Pitlick Boer Goats out of Jordan, Minnesota.
Once again, if we have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, this will be your final call for Class 20A. Class 23A. Those does from 12 to 16 months of age. Starts our yearling show here once again. This will be your final call for Class 23A.
Well, we get our classes winners out here in those seconds, and you just thought there was a lot of good does in that last class. Now all these come out here, and you're just like, holy moly. These things are wicked good. I mean, from class 1 all the way back to class 7, there's some does in here that are obviously there's a couple that are going to win, but there's some does in here that are going to win some shows for years to come. And I think it, like I talked about earlier, it's just a big compliment and a testament to the dedication and the hard work that everybody puts in to selecting and breeding and preparing these females for a show like this. It's just amazing how far we've come in such a short amount of time. I think we're all in good hands within this industry as far as the progression that our breed is gonna take, and it's just going nowhere but up. Truly amazing set of does out here. We don't need to go through them all. We still got a long ways to go today, but I think there's a couple that were pretty easy for us to find and to get up here within this top spots in this division. I think just 2 does that are just flat out really special. I think you're going to see a lot from them for years to come, not only in the show ring, but as they go into production and lay down and start kicking out babies. There's a phenomenal set of does, phenomenal show already this morning. Let's give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause, and we'll go out here and we'll select your champion.
And your grand champion comes out of that Class 20G. That's Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now, Austin Chamness from Charlestown, Indiana, will pull over as we name our National Reserve Grand. And the Reserve Grand will come out of Class 20A. That's Faith Burke from Mapleton, North Dakota. All right, ladies and gentlemen, going to kind of switch gears here. That junior portion of our full-blood show is completed. Now we're starting the yearling division. This is class 23A. There's actually a 23A, B, and C, but once again, this is class 23A. 12 to 16 months of age, should be 24 in the class. Also, while our judges are taking a look at all of our exhibitors here, just like to update you on the old-timers showmanship list. We have Jason Klug, we have Terry Taylor, have Nathan Danke, Ashley Judge, we have Callum Hand. Ashley's on there twice. Looks like Matt Day, Tracy Day, Tanya Finch, Robert Melton, Stephen Ryder, Danielle Funk. We have Joetta Boyd, Cale Arnold, Piper Fisher, Noah Teal, Tina Burnett, Justin Stewart. There's Nathan Danke again, Josh Stevens, Kenny Elwood, Brett Bassford, Cindy Westfall, and Sheila Smith. So all those of you, you're all signed up. Somebody's paid good money to see you show. So if you'd like to get off that list, it'll cost you $10 to get off. We've got the list here. You can come and nominate somebody right now, but we're going to take this back to the show office here in just a few minutes.
Once again, I've got our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. We're short 2 individuals in this class 23A. Once again, first class in our yearlings, class 23A. We need Briley Todd from Bend, Oregon. On both those individuals, they have 2 in that class, entry number 2047 and 2048. Briley Todd out of Bend, Oregon. We need you in the show ring at this time.
Exhibitors on the outside of the arena may be excused this time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and thank these exhibitors for their participation. our judges making their final decision here, just like to let you know one of the important parts, and we'll make this announcement back in the back about when we're going to break for lunch. Okay? What we're going to do, we're on Class 23A. We're going to go ahead and show Class 23B and 23C. That will finish all the 12 to 16-month-old division. Then after lunch, we will start with that Class 24A. That'll break into that 16 to 20-month-old division. So once again, upon completion of Class 23C, we'll take a lunch break. We'll let you know about the time on that, pretty close, and when we'll come back. But once again, I'll make the announcement in the back, but we will take a break for lunch after the completion of Class 23C.
If I could have all of our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, one of those major announcements. Again, this is about when we will take a break for lunch, what classes we'll work between. So once again, this is when we will take that lunch break. We are currently on Class 23A. We're going to do all the 12 to 16-month-old divisions. So when we get to Class 23C, upon completion of Class 23C, we will take a lunch break. And we'll come back after lunch and start that first group of the 16 to 20-month-old division, which is Class 24A. Once again, we'll do Class 23A, B, and C here before lunch, and then we'll take that lunch break and start the 16 to 20-month-old division. Class 24A will be the first class after lunch. Once again, the first class after lunch will be Class 24A. Once again, I would have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. This will be your first call for Class 23B. Once again, those does from 12 to 16 months of age. First call, Class 23B. Once again, if I got our exhibitor's attention back in the barn, this will be your final.
Now we got a good class of yearlings to start this the yearling division off with. We're pretty deep in quality from top to bottom, but I think all three of us judges kind of have a general consensus and an agreement that this doe in the first hole is a doe that we like from the minute she walked in the gate. We have not seen her in a view or in motion or any kind of angle that we've not been happy with. That's just a very complete made female. I absolutely love the breed character in her head and neck. I love the look she's got. I like the stretch and the femininity, but yeah, she's not ultra feminine. She still packs a ton of power between all the way across that top line. She's got a ton of meat and muscle coming down the rear leg. She's absolutely perfectly correct on feet and legs. Good width to her, not excessive in any way, but just very well balanced and very high quality in every spot. We all agree, a pretty good class winner there. Follow her up with a doe that I really like. This doe here, long body, maybe a little longer than what we had up front. A doe that may not have had the rear hip coming down the rear leg is what the doe that won the class is. But again, a doe that balances up very well. Got some stretch in that front end. I love the top line, the way she ties in from the neck and the shoulders. I love the big level top to her. And I like that how wide she is across the rump. And we can flip flop these any day. I don't think it would be a big issue. But a doe that just gave up a little bit in the rear third to that class winner, in our opinion. This next doe here is a doe that we kind of went back and forth on as far as third and fourth. There's some things we'd like to change about them. The doe in third, I like the chest on this doe. I like how up-fronted she is. I love the head and neck on her. If we had to be real critical, we'd like to maybe give her just a little bit more length of body. She balances up well to look at her, but when compared to the others on either side of her, she's a little bit shorter bodied. But yet what we do see is pretty high quality. We'd like to maybe make her just a little longer. The next doe has got the length of body that we would like to have had on the other doe in front of her, but we don't feel like she had as much product as what the doe ahead of her did. A little bit more waisty in the chest floor compared to the doe ahead of her, but another nice made female there. This next doe is a doe that is extremely heavy boned, a doe that just gives up a little bit of width through the chest floor compared to the does ahead of her. A doe that just got a little extra conditioning on her right behind the elbow and right there in that brisket to be able to move her up any further, but she's got a lot of good things going on about her. She's good on feet and legs. She balances up well. We like to just pull a little bit off of her. The next doe here is a doe that really nice doe. She just kind of gets our horse a little bit. I don't think she's got quite the overall size and scale and volume that the does ahead of her did for her to be able to move up. I love the lines on her as far as the nice level top line and the way she rounds off in that rump area. She just got out horse a little bit for the does ahead of her. This next doe is a doe that has some good parts. They don't blend as well to us. She's a little bit wastier in the chest floor. She dips a little bit behind the shoulders. But I absolutely love that head on her. I love the length of body. She's got some meat and power and some volume. She just didn't blend as well for us to be able to move up any further. This paint doe here is another long body doe. If you look at her, say midline up, if you look at her from tip of the nose, I love the shape of her head. I like the way she ties in the shoulders, like the length of body, and I like the levelness of rump. But from there down, she didn't have as much product. She wasn't as heavy boned, didn't carry the meat and muscling down the rear legs quite as far as what the higher up in the class did, but a really nice made female. This next doe here's a doe that just, again, didn't really blend quite as well for us. I think she doesn't have quite the width as some of the other does. When she tracked out, she got a little narrow across those rear legs, actually kind of clicked her heels a little bit as she walked away. Beautiful on profile, just gave up a little bit of width, natural width through that chest floor and through the rear hocks. Red doe, another doe that's got a lot of volume. I love the shape on that top line. Kind of like that doe. There was two does ahead of her. I love the top lines on her as far as the tip of her nose through the shape of her head, the length of neck, the way she ties in across the top line. But from midline down, she didn't have the horsepower. She was a little finer boned, a little greener made than what some of those others were. But other than that, a really nice class of yearling does.
Ladies and gentlemen, the results on our Class 24A. In first place was Rick and Misty Allen out of Fairmount, Illinois, on RMA2 Twister. In second place was Tina Burnett from Choctaw, Oklahoma, on Bernie Claire DeLune. In third place was Haley O'Brien from Fort Myers, Florida, on Hershey Kisses. In fourth place was Jared Lindenfelser from Eric, Oklahoma, on 4L Boer Goats Sharps Lady. In fifth place was Reagan Rogers from Gilbert, Arizona, on SLKY Fact Check. In sixth place also was Kiera Rogers from Gilbert, Arizona, this time on SLKY Shake Your Booty. In seventh place was Kevin Moore from New Carlisle, Ohio, on ROLNR Roland R. Guinevere. In eighth place was Morgan Bridges from Lomita, Texas, on MMLR, looks like Cerebi. In ninth place was Mark Crook from Yuma, Colorado, on MCRK African Sunrise. And in 10th place was Justin Stewart from Sweetwater, Texas, on KITK1, looks like Coriamore. Ladies and gentlemen, now coming in the arena is our Class 23B. Once again, those does from 12 to 16 months of age, should be 44 in the class.
Once again, we're short a couple of individuals here in this Class 23B. We need Wes Lori Peterson from Neosho, Missouri, on entry number 1025. We also need Madeline Rutt from Bloomington, Indiana, on entry number 1433. Once again, we're short two. We need Wes or Lori Peterson from Neosho, Missouri, entry number 1025, and also Madeline Rutt from Bloomington, Indiana, on entry 1433. We need those two does in the show ring at this time.
As she said, this is her first show. Let's give her a round of applause. At least she's trying to be honest and give her judges a hard time. Good job. Also like to remind you, if you didn't catch that announcement just a little bit earlier, that we will be taking our lunch break after completion of 23C. This is class 23B in the arena now, 44 in this class, 44 in the next class. Then we will be taking a lunch break at the end of that 12 to 16-month-old group. We'll take about a 1-hour lunch break, and then we're going to be coming back with class 24A, that first group in the 16 to 20-month-old division. That will be our first class after lunch.
Once again, okay, our exhibitors teaching back in the barn. Just one more update about our lunch break. I want to make sure everyone heard that earlier. We are class 23B currently. We'll go ahead and show, of course, complete this class. We'll show class 23C, and then we will have a break for lunch. As soon as that lunch break is over, we'll come back with that first class of 16 to 20-month-old. That'll be class 24A. So once again, the first class after lunch break will be class 24A.
exhibitors on the outside of the arena may excuse this time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause as they exit the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, while our judges are putting our exhibitors through the paces, once again, we're finishing this class up. I'd like to tell you once again, we have several groups of people and corporate sponsors and breeders that do sponsorships here at our 2018 ABGA. One of the things, if you are new to us or maybe in the bleachers and haven't noticed this yet, we have tables set up all around the arena. These are what we call our table sponsors. These are breeders, companies that have added additional financial support here to our 2018 ABGA. Money is used there again for part of our junior show. We help offset expenses. But once again, we appreciate all of our sponsors. I'd like to let you know who they are. We have the Blue Gainey Ranch. We have Kimmer Ranch, Able Acres, the Carlson's Pinecrest, have the Dust Devil Ranch and Caprio Boer Goats, Clear Creek Farms, the Missouri Family Ranch, Paradox, and Minger Creek Ranch. We have the Weatherall Farm and Hilltop Farm. And then we have the Advanced Boer Genetics, have Diefenbach, Stevens, and Smith. They have the Minnesota Boer Goat Association, Aprina Acres Boer Goats, Lucky J Family Goats, S&S Boer Goats, Westfall Boer Goats. Also have the SAKB Boer Goats, Breezy Acre Boer Goats, the RJ Transportation Incorporated, and AA Boer Goats. We have the Wild Wind Farm, K Hollow Boer Goats, and Hard Rock Farm. Also in another table then, Wild Wind Farm, Hard Rock Boer Goats, and K Hollow Boer Goats. We have the Botger Boers, C&J Show Farms, Wiki's Rockin' Boer Goats. Also have Shepherd Creek Ranch, Frank and Susan Berner, Land of Grace Farm, and Southern Hollow Farm, and also the Flying L Ranch Boer Goats. But once again, we appreciate all of our sponsors around these tables. Ladies and gentlemen, would you give our table sponsors a round of applause for their additional financial support here for our 2018 ABGA? Also, it's kind of a matter of catching up. You also know we have lots of ribbon and banner sponsors here throughout the show. In our 12 to 16-month-old division, once again, we have several classes here, but the ribbon sponsors here for our 12 to 16 classes are the Bass Livestock Nutrition. Also, just like to let you know that we apologize. There's been one of our groups that has been left off of our table sponsors. Along with Kimmer Ranch, we have Boers by Hobby. Once again, we apologize for that mistake in the book, but once again, we have Boers by Hobby that is an additional table sponsor. And once again, we appreciate if we need to make any corrections on our sheets, please come up and tell us. We want to make sure that all of our sponsors are recognized. So once again, we appreciate all of our sponsors and what they do here for our 2018 show.
Once again, I would have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. This will be your first call for that Class 23C at 12 to 16-month-old division. First call, Class 23C.
Also be a great time to just kind of remind you that since she's out in the arena today, the official photographer here for the 2018 ABGA is Pearl's Picks Photography and Design. They will be taking pictures throughout the show. We have Pearl Walthall here and her girls helping represent that Pearl's Picks. We want to make sure we get pictures of all of our grands, reserve grands throughout the show. She will be having the booth set up over here, the backdrop over on the other side in the cattle barn. They'll be taking pictures throughout the day here, lots of good shots. Once again, there'll be several of those grand reserves we're going to need for advertising purposes. Our judges always make themselves available at the end of the day to get those pictures as well. So once again, we appreciate Pearl and her crew as the official photographers here for our 2018 ABGA. Also, just like to remind you that we have a brand new sponsor that's not on our list because it come just a little bit late to us. But this is a sponsor here out of Grand Island, Nebraska. We have the Tommy Guns Bistro, a little place here not too far from the fairgrounds, actually pretty close to the fairgrounds facility here. It's a restaurant, new restaurant here in Grand Island. Several of the people have been there eating over the past few days, said it's really, really good. And they'll actually take orders over lunch. I think if you go over here to Kenny's Killer Jerky and visit with them, they can give you some more information. But once again, brand new sponsor here locally out of Grand Island, Nebraska, and we really appreciate them and their support here for our 2018 show.
Once again, if I could have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, this will be your final call for that class 23C. Those does from 12 to 16 months of age. Final call, class 23C.
Also, while we're waiting on our judges, I'd like to remind you once again of all of our silent auction items. They're here on the east end of the show arena. Got several good things over there, getting quite a list of names. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance. Looks like my microphone may be cutting out on you. Some of you might be saying that might be the best thing that ever happened. We get this microphone to cut out a little bit. But once again, we have several great items over there. Make sure to drop by. Some great gifts. We got everything from feed and got some straws of semen. We've got a photo package, Scentsy basket, clipper bag, some bug scrub. Got some really neat looking cookies over there. We got some, looks like a couple of paintings. Some gift baskets from a lot of different states over there as well. But once again, go over and sign up. We're going to up, and we'll be bringing you the final tally with that, and they'll be available tonight at the banquet. And we'll announce who got what at that time. So once again, go back over there and sign up. Remember, all of our money goes back to the ABGA.
Another great class of really high quality does, particularly on the top, in the top 2, 3, 4, 5, however deep you want to go, are just really high quality. I think the doe that worked her way to the top, and kind of from the very beginning when she came in the ring, is a doe with just a ton of power. There's a lot of bone and substance in this girl, but you get your hands onto that rib cage, opens up with a lot of curvature to it, coming right out of the shoulder. She carries that all the way back. She's really smooth in her transitions from shoulder to rib and rib to hip. It's a lot of real product and muscle in this girl, a lot of real width. Would like to hook her a little higher up out of that shoulder. She gets a little plainer in the shoulder and that neck shoulder junction. If she had the head and neck and the neck set of the doe in second, she'd be just killer. But the power in this doe, she winds up winning the class. The doe in second, you love from a profile. You love how high she's hooked up in that head and neck and tail set as well. Just needs a little more length of body compared to her depth of body. She's carrying a little more condition, but another doe with a lot of real, true and honest muscle in her when you get your hands on her down into the twist and the center portion of her leg. Just a lot of thickness to this doe to combine that with a lot of attractiveness from her profile. I think if you drop 15 pounds off of her, she'd be even better, be a little fresher condition, but a really high quality doe there. The doe wind up with in third, again, a doe with just a beautiful front end on her, really long, elegant, feminine. You love her from that perspective. She's long-sided, she's deep-sided, just doesn't quite have the muscle, the true and honest muscle that the two does up above her had, but she's a really high-quality doe who went a long ways today. The doe we wind up with in fourth is a doe we went back and found. I mean, she doesn't just blow you away when she comes into the ring, but she's just right in a lot of areas. She's sound structured, she's smooth, she's feminine, she's the freshest in her condition, probably of the 10 does that we have out here. She's long-bodied, she's just extremely functional, not a major hole in her, just not super exciting in terms of her muscle expression, but a doe that's just right in a lot of ways and really went a long ways today from where she came from early on. The doe we wind up in fifth, I think, is just exceptionally sharp is the word for her. Long, feminine front end, really clean and high and tight through that chest floor, really trimmed through the middle portion of her body. Just need to deepen her up a little bit. At this stage of the game, she ought to be getting a little broodier, a little deeper in that rib cage, especially in the flank, but a doe that's ultra attractive, ultra trim in terms of her condition. You can sure appreciate her for that. Doe we wind up with next in six, you love her length of body. You love the extension on the front end of this doe. Wants to get a little weaker in that top line. Biggest knock on her is standing there, you can't see it too bad. When she gets on the move, she gets a little weak on those pasterns, particularly this right rear pastern. But a doe that's designed very nicely in terms of being a broody breeding piece for this young lady. Doe we wind up with next, you appreciate for having some width and some muscle in her. Falls apart a little bit structurally, wants to get a little weaker behind those shoulders and drop that top a little bit. Wants to get jammed in up in that front shoulder a little bit and would like to just clean her up through that chest floor, make it a little higher, tighter, and neater. Red doe that comes out next, love her for her length of body. Really wide chest. A doe that just gets a little lateral movement at her hocks as she's walking away from you. If you could square up and true up those hocks as she's moving, I think a doe that gets up 2 or 3 more places today. Doe we got coming out next, a doe that you just like to lengthen up that spine a little bit. She's got a lot of depth of rib. She has some shape when you get around behind her. Just need to lengthen up that spine, strengthen up that spine, and she could be able to move up today. The doe we got coming out next, the blue tag doe here in front of me, just need to feminize that front end a little bit, smoothen up that shoulder. She gets a little round and coarse in that front end, a little shorter down that spine, probably carrying more condition than she needs. Good depth of body, good muscle and power in her. And then the doe that winds up the class, a big frame feminine doe with a lot of bone, a lot of length of body, just probably carrying more condition than she needs today. And if we could harden her up a little bit, I think she'd move on up the line. But really nice does all the way through. Let's give them a hand for bringing out some really great does in this class.
The results in our Class 23B: in first place was Piper Fisher from Hominy, Oklahoma, on TKGB Rachel. In second place was Clint Dimmitt from Bridgeport, Texas, on Bernie Jamaican Me Crazy. In third place was Lee and Sharon Dana from Clay Center, Nebraska, on D78 Simply Amazing G3. In fourth place, Patsy Walrath from Middleton in Idaho, on DBLD Smokin' Hot Dawn G42. In fifth place was Thomas and Jackie Redden out of Norman, Indiana, on Glacier. In sixth place was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, on Show Me Boar's Teal 10H CATC. In seventh place was Piper Fisher from Hominy, Oklahoma, on TKGB Beatrice. In eighth place was Madison Fenton from Tushy, Washington, on Strawberry Champagne. In ninth place was Matthew Schoenbauer from New Prague, Minnesota, on REMA2 Bring It SQ. And finally, in 10th place was Wes and Lori Peterson from Neosho, Missouri, on 2MBG 2M Boer Goats Moonshine. Ladies and gentlemen, now coming in the arena is our final class here before lunch. This is Class 23C. Once again, in that 12 to 16-month-old division, should be 44 in the class. Just as that final reminder, again, this is the final class before lunch. We'll take that approximately 1 hour break, and then we'll be coming back and start with that Class 24A. That's the first class in that 16, 20-month-old division. That'll be the first class after lunch. Once again, if we can have our exhibitors' attention back in the barn, we're missing 2 in this Class 23C. We need Emma Rethens from Patterson, California, on entry number 1622, and we need Trip Patterson from Carneysville, West Virginia, on entry number 2040. Once again, we need Trip Patterson from, looks like Carneysville, West Virginia, on entry 2040, and also Emma Rethens from Patterson, California, on entry 1622. We need those 2 does in the show ring at this time. Exhibitors on the outside of the arena may be excused this time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and thank these exhibitors for their participation today. Once again, we had like 44 in this class, several going back to the pens, and like I say, a lot of really, really good does out here. You'll see these does winning state fairs all over the country here before the next 3 or 4 months. So once again, we appreciate everyone bringing such good quality doe here to our 2018 show. All right, while our judges are making their final decision here, I'd like just to update you on who's in and who's out for our old timer showmanship contest. So make sure and pay attention. We want to make sure we don't let anybody escape here. So we've got Jason Klug, Terry Taylor, he's still on the list. Looks like Colin Hahn is still on the list. Ashley got off. Somebody paid that $10 for him. Okay. Looks like we got Matt Day and Tracy Day, Tanya Finch, Robert Melton. Looks like Danielle Funk, Joetta Boyd, Cale Arnold, Piper Fisher, Noah Teal, Tina Burnett, Justin Stewart. Then looks like Josh Stevens, Kenny Elwood, Brett Bassford, Cindy Westfall. Looks like Sheila Smith, Jennifer Bassford, Kim Morgan, Tori Cooper. Looks like Randy Dusek, Michelle O'Brien, Kathy Carr, Cooper Bounds. Is that Jordan Fredrickson? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, it's Jordan, and it looks like Fettered and something like that. I apologize for that. You ought to try to read this writing up here. Okay. Then we got Bailey Bergherm, and this is a huge mistake. Huge mistake. They've got Kendall Brashear is going to show a goat. Now this is just wrong. This is just wrong. How much is it going to cost me to get out of this? Okay. Okay. And then Paul McNear. Okay. So that's our list. Once ago, you are all still live to go in a showmanship contest. So if you'd like to get off this list, we'll take $10 right up here. So once again, great activity. All the money goes back to our ABGA. Have a lot of fun with it. Going to have Pitt Kimmer. He's going to be up here kind of announcing that and having a lot of fun with his go. So once again, come up here, either take your name off or add somebody. You've still got just a few more minutes to make it happen.
Once again, kind of quick announcement in the back of the barn, just to let you know how our showmanship contest is coming, just to let you know who's still on that list. We have Jason Klug, Terry Taylor. Once again, all these people are still alive and well to participate in our showmanship contest. Once again, it costs $5 to put somebody on. It takes $10 to get your name off of here. We have Calvin Hand. We have Matt Day, Tracy Day, Tanya Finch, Robert Melton, Stephen Ryder, Danielle Punk, Joetta Boyd. Looks like Cale Arnold, Piper Fisher, Noah Teal, Tina Burnett, Justin Stewart. Also have Kenny Elwood, Brett Bassford. Also Cindy Westfall, Jennifer Bassford, Kim Morgan, Tori Cooper, Randy Nusek, Michelle O'Brien, Kathy Carr, Cooper Bounds. Looks like Bailey Bergherm, Paul McNear, Kathy Deemer, Bryce Shipley, and Bernard Osmus. All those names are still on the list. So once again, if you'd like to nominate somebody else, we have just a few more minutes here, or if you'd like to get your name off, we have the list up here at the announcer's stand.
Also, while our judges making their final decision, once again let you know that we have several vendors throughout the barn. Have several of those that offering different kinds of supplies. We have some bling available. We have some information about livestock feed, lots and lots of things going on in all of our barns, both the cattle barn, the sheep barn here around the arena, and in the north end on the east side of the arena. Just to give you an example here, we have Sullivan Supply, North Star Gates, the Agribuckle, we have Show Bling on a String, also Showstring USA, Essential Feeds, AgriWorld International, and Biogenetics. Looks like we're not sure on this one. We'd like to get some clarification. It's WEDEKIND, and it's manufacturing. We'd like for somebody to please come up here and tell us exactly how that's pronounced. We'd appreciate it. Also, have the Vitalix, the Elwoods, that's Radiant Reds, and the Kenny's Killer Jerky. Have Lowe's Feeds, Kimmer Auctions, LivestockBuyers.com, Casada Creation, Sidell, the 3-in-1 feeders. Have Twisted Stitch, Exodus Trailers, and the Prize Goat Designs. Once again, about 20 vendors all together, scattered throughout the barns. Got a lot of good wares for sale or information available. So please drop by and say hi to our vendors and tell them how much we appreciate them being here in our 2018 ABGA show. Well, we're once again making that final decision. Looks like we're getting really close. Just in the lost and found department, everybody look up here very quickly. This isn't the lost and found department. This was found in kind of the ladies' restroom over in the cattle barn. Looks like a kid's belt, okay? Once again, really, really nice belt found in lost and found. If you'd like to claim that, if you can come up here and kind of give us a general description, we'll try to hide it, and then you can claim it.
Well, another one of these 12 to 16 yearling doe classes that's just exceptional in the amount of quality does that have come in and out of the gate already. And then we get these 10 left out here, or 12, or however many we have. And I think you can certainly find just a pile of good ones in here. I think a pretty combination fault-free female up here at the top end of the class that's better on her feet and legs than the does that stand behind her. She's more true in terms of her condition. She handles with an exceptional amount of shape down her top, really combines it a lot of good things together. You study her off of both ends, and you certainly have to appreciate the amount of width and sheer mass that she shows us horizontally, and then how she transmits it all the way down to the ground when she gets out and travels is exceptional in our mind, and that's what got her up here to the top end of the class. I think a paint doe that's really worked her way up into the second spot. On the initial walk when she came in, she kind of got a little overlooked, and the more you start to really study this female, the more you understand and can see that she's just like our class winner in the way that she's comes to you in a fault-free and very complete made package. I think this one really smooths up quite nicely and balances all the parts and pieces quite well. Maybe not quite as fresh as what you see in our class winner. She could handle those rear two when she gets out and travels with a little more authority and a little more substantialness in the way that she sets them down. But I think that's an awful good female there that you can't draw a lot of issue with. I think the spot back doe that comes into the third spot just gets a little shorter off of both ends of her spine in relationship to the two that are in front of her. I think that one, again, has a world of good in her. You look at the rib shape, the dimension, how much mass and base width that she combines is truly astounding. We just like to pull her apart off of both ends and extend her out off of both ends of her spine to ideally match up with what you see in front of her. I think an awful good female there in her own right. And then the paint doe that comes next, again, maybe not quite the elevation and extension that you see in some of the does that were in at the front end of the class, and maybe even the doe behind her, but I think a world of good in that one. I love the wide, flat loin, how deep set she is to the edge of that loin, really carries herself with a lot of authority. Maybe we could adjust her ever so slightly in terms of the size and shape to that foot and let her move out with just a little more comfortability, but we like that one an awful lot as well. I think a unique breeding piece is the one that comes next. I love the length, love the levelness, how she ties in so correctly in the way that her spine hooks in at the top of her shoulder and the top of her hip. We love the roundness to her rib shape and the internal dimension that you see in through that center 1/3. I think she's one that could be adjusted on her feet and legs as we watch her move. She gets a little more restricted out of that hip, and it starts up high. I think we could just see a little more freedom and ease of movement. She can certainly work her way up a couple of spots. A really long, extended doe that comes next. I certainly appreciate for that length of spine. I love the elegance out of that front 1/3. Simply just didn't have enough mass and power and volume, particularly in through that center today, to get her up any higher. I think the young lady's doe that comes next is one that has that shape to that middle part of her body cavity. I love the depth of rib. I love the sweep to her underline and the uniformity of that depth from forerib back to flank. We just need to fix her structurally, in particular off of those rear two. It starts up in through that stifle joint. She wants to just turn inward at the hock. I think we need to set her out on the corners with a little more squareness all the way down to the ground to move her up today. And then a doe that comes next, again, one that has some center body shape and internal dimension, maybe gets a little plainer and a little rougher in her outline compared to the rest of the class out here. But we love the business and we love the production-oriented look that she gives you. I think a doe that's pretty unique in her type and kind is the one that comes next, real moderate in her frame. When you start to study her with the rest of the does out here. But even with the moderation that you see, this one's pretty good given for what she brings to the table. I love the roundness in her hip. I love the length of spine. Everything's in good proportion. She's really good on her feet and legs. Just need to elongate her in those vertical bones and just see a little more overall size and scale to match up with what we have in the rest of the class. A doe that rounds out this set of 10 that I think for us, one that is presented extremely well. You really like the look she gives you, particularly out of her front 2/3. I just simply like to change her out of her hip give her some more extension in the way that those hooks and pins come at us today. I think if we could just elevate her in that pin set and lengthen her out of that pelvis, that could certainly add to the balance dynamic of that one as we view her from the side. Really good class of those females. Give everybody a big round of applause if you would.
Thank you. We didn't really get a whole lot for that. One more time, let's give our exhibitors a round of applause. Everybody together. All right, good job. Our judge feels much better now. Thank you. In first place was Joe and Barbie Teal out of Stillwater, Oklahoma on SCF 5 Sandy Creek War Dancer. In second place was Allison Binkley from Scottsburg, Indiana on ATAB Clementine. In third place was Austin Chamness from Charlestown, Indiana on 2MBG Aces Spot On. In fourth place, Clint Demmett from Bridgeport, Texas on Even the Queen of Hearts. In fifth place, Caden Merriman from Hallett, Oklahoma on SRF2 Shamrocks Lexi. In sixth place was Brad McCall from Lebanon, Missouri on STCRF Baby Girl. In seventh place was Rick and Misty Allen from Fairmount, Illinois on RMA2 Impeccable Style. In eighth place was Jason Miller from Bloomfield, Iowa on Jimmy Thunderstorm Coming In. In ninth place was Buck and Natalie Pruitt from Aztec, New Mexico on TR4 Red Crown Shutterbug. And finally, in 10th place was Travis Levings from Okeen, Oklahoma on 2MBG2M Boer Goat Sunshine, and then W something. Once again, it's out where I can't see it. All right, our superintendent said we're going to go ahead and take a full hour for lunch. I have 15 minutes until 12, so at 12:45 we will resume the show. Once again, at 12:45 we will resume the show, starting with that class 24A. All right, for all of our old timers that have goats in the showmanship contest, we need you out here and getting together in the back of the arena as we get ready for this old timer show. So once again, all of our people that have been nominated, you still have just a few minutes to go ahead and pay out if you don't want to have to show. So once again, all of our old timers, we're getting ready for that contest.
Once again, I'm going to have all of our exhibitors' attention back in the barn. We've completed this final class here before lunch. We will resume the show. I have about 15 until 12, so about 12:45. Once again, it's 11:45 now. We will resume the show in 1 hour. So at 12:45, we will resume the show. About 10 minutes before that, we'll make that first call. Once again, we've got lots of classes we need to finish so we can get done for our banquet tonight. And we'll start promptly on time. So once again, we will start with that first class, 24A, at 12:45.